Hello everyone. Today we will discuss about desalination of water. I hope you remember in the previous videos we would be discussing about the hardness of water, and we were able to discuss about three methods to remove the hardness, which were lime soda, ion exchange and zeolite. Now that was basically hard water. Now today I would focus more on not on hardness, in fact on the solids which are dissolved in it. Especially if you remember, I told you that there is one more hardness which you call it as pseudo hardness. Pseudo means fake, false hardness. So if excess of sodium and potassium is dissolved in the water, it render hardness to the water. The water may not give lather with the soap properly, and then you may assume that the water is hard, but actually it is not, because it is due to the excess of sodium and potassium ion. So if such kind of salts are present, like excess of sodium salts or potassium salts, now which kind of process you are going to use, that is what is known as desalination of water. So obviously this method is not meant to remove the hardness of water. This method is not meant to remove or treat hard water. Rather we will focus about brackish water, brine water, salty water, like that. So desalination of water is nothing but D means removal and salination salt. So removal of salt from that water which contains excess of salt is known as desalination of water. And then how are you going to do? So there are two basic approaches towards it. The first approach is this and the second approach is this. And basically what are we going to do? If you remember, if you add solute and solvent, you prepare a solution, right? So if I need to purify this particular solution, either I can take solvent out of it or I can take solute out of it. That is how it is going to be purified. So what happens in the reverse osmosis, we take solvent out of it. So this brackish solution or the salty solution, saline solution which you have, if you have to purify it, you can take water particles out of it. So it would be purified, your water will be taken. Next step is to take solute out of it, means those sodium or potassium salts which are dissolved in the water, you may take them out so that the water becomes pure. So in order to purify this saline water, desalination works on these two principles, wherein one by one we can remove either of the component and we can purify the water. So let us go in detail. How are you going to do? Before that, let us see like what are the standards on the basis of which you say that the water is not fit for drinking or for industrial purpose and you need to treat them. So normally WHO has given some kind of standards related to the color, pH and hardness, TDS of the water, and they have given you desirable limit and the permissible limit. Means permissible means up to which you can permit it. Okay, it's okay. Like desirable is the exact, the ideal limit. Like if you say that the total hardness ideal limit is 300, that means ideally the water should not have more than 300 ppm hardness. But it is permissible up to 600. So you can give a relaxation up to 600 depending on the application. So these are mentioned in milligrams per liter, while color is always mentioned in hazel. Especially in India, we do focus on BIS standards, and as per BIS standards, the color is measured in the Hazen unit, turbidity is measured in NTU unit, and rest all are measured in milligram per liter. So here also if you can see, we also have maintained the same, that the water should not be like, ideally it should be like maximum 300, but you can relax it up to 600. And same goes with TDS 500, and you can relax a bit to 2000. Let me take you to the special like document of BIS. Let me show you how does that document look like. Now if you can see here, BIS standard, Indian standard of like drinking, this is specification, Bureau of Indian Standards, BIS. The notification comes like this, right? So they give you the notifications like this. Now here if you can see here, color or Hazen unit, so that is from here it is derived, like 5 and 15 values are taken from here. Similarly you can see here turbidity or NTU, maximum unit 1 and 5, total dissolved is 500 and 2000, maximum permissible limit. So that is how that particular document was prepared. You can see here general parameters regarding undesirable substances also. So here you can see those elements are involved, chloride, fluorides and free residual chlorine, and everything is mentioned that what should be the limit, like magnesium, and then here it is written total hardness, total alkalinity and all. Similarly, parameters concerning toxic substances are also written. So if at all you want to go in detail of like what should be the standard values, you may go and refer this document wherein they'll disclose each and everything. They also have set pesticides residue limits and all. So you may go in detail, you may see these many compounds are written here, right? And also related with the bacterial impurities present in the drinking water. So this is how BIS standard document look like. Let us go back to our document. So this is how you need to prepare this standard. We are bothered about basically TDS as of now. So let us go ahead with what do we understand by desalination of brackish water. So the water which contains high concentration of dissolved solid, we call that water as a brackish water. And generally, if you find out like the ranges of the solids dissolved in the water, they may vary depending on the sources, but generally they treat like if it is less than 1000 ppm, you may call it as a fresh water, and not much of the dissolved solids are present. But brackish water, you call that water as a brack water or brackish water if those solids are present in the range of 1000 to 30,000 ppm. So here you can see if I have taken this image from net source, and you may see that up to like 500 ppt. Here they have mentioned it is in ppt, so it is like parts per thousand, and here what we have referred up till now was parts per million, so I have just converted into parts per million. So it's just like around brackish water would be in this range of around 30,000 ppm. Some people take it from 500, some may take it from 1000. So as I said, it will vary, plus minus 10,000 it may vary. Sometimes saline water is taken from 25,000, or you may take it from 30,000 also. So it also varies from 30,000 to 50,000 ppm. The sea water, ocean water, salt lake water, which you call it as a saline water, falls in this range. And then if it is greater than that, greater than 50,000 ppm, you call that water as briny water or brine water. It's basically not feasible to treat this water, so rather we focus majorly on brackish water to treat it, because you can find it from the sea shore, and like you can anytime reduce this particular salts into less than 1000 freshwater range. Sometimes like brine water is not at all to be treated because that much of the salt is present in it. So basically the process of eliminating that dissolved solid, which is I'm right now, let's say example NaCl from water, is known as desalination. So I hope you understand. D means removal of salt from that salty water is known as desalination of water. Now let us go ahead with, before going ahead with like osmosis and dialysis, I would like to show you this video wherein your concept would be cleared. Like what do you understand by diffusion is movement of solute molecule from an area of higher concentration to an area of lower concentration. So here the solute molecule is passed, right? Like what happens then in osmosis? I hope you remember, in osmosis there was a membrane. So there is a possibility, there is a presence of semi-permeable membrane, and it is just diffusion of that solvent, not solute, rather solvent across that membrane. So it allows only that solvent particle to pass through it, and obviously from lower solute concentration to higher solute concentration. So that is what osmosis is. And then if you go by dialysis, dialysis is almost similar, but the difference lies in which particle is flowing. So it is also process of separating molecule, but there the solute particle passes. So depending on their rate of diffusion, it passes. But here also semi-permeable membrane would be present. So let us go ahead with the first process, which is known as electrodialysis. As the word suggests, it is having a principle of dialysis. So now if you remember, it will allow solute particle, and then there has to be a membrane involved in it. And when you join electroword to it, that means electricity role is there. So you need to have a cell setup wherein you have cathode, you have anode, and then you join them via electricity. You should have some membranes involved in it. So what happens in electrodialysis process is you have to select a membrane which needs to be an ion selective membrane. Ion selective means it will only allow one ion to pass through it. So now if you see, this is positive ion selective membrane and this is negative ion selective membrane. Now you put that particular thing in a compartment containing water. Your brackish water is there. Let's say it is having NaCl dissolved in it. You want to treat this Na plus and Cl minus, remove it, right? So you put this, connect to the electricity, and then once you do that, cations will start moving towards cathode, anion will start moving towards anode. And just because you have placed the membranes, this membrane will only allow negative ion to pass through it, and this membrane will only allow positive ion to pass through it. So at the end of the process, if you are inserting your sea water from top, you will be getting your pure water from bottom, and at the same time concentrated brine solution from here, because Na plus or Cl minus or some types of anions would be there, right? So your middle compartment would be free from those ions, and you can collect your pure water from bottom. So electrodialysis is that approach, is that process in which the migration of cations or anions present in the salt water take place, but through ion selective permeable membrane, and obviously under the influence of electric field. So that is the two main process, like dialysis and electro. So these two conditions are to be met. Let us go ahead with one more. I found it on the net, this particular diagram. So now if you place several membranes, you place a stack of membranes. So first you allow this cation selective membrane, then you put a anion selective membrane, then put a cation selective membrane, followed by anion and cation. So the thing is, you need to put them in an alternative fashion, right? When you put them in an alternative fashion, what happens is, when you start the electricity, all the cations present in this compartment will start moving towards cathode, and all the anions will move towards anode. So what happens is, the cation, let's say this cation will start moving towards cathode. It will move here because this will allow cation to pass. But the next one is anion selective, so it will not allow cation to pass. So cation will remain in this compartment. Similarly, the cations present in this compartment can easily go to the next one, because the membrane is cation selective, but would not be able to pass through this, so they'll remain in this compartment. And so happens with the negative also, like negative is allowed to pass through it, but is not allowed to pass through here, and similarly like this. Now if you focus on this experiment, you will see that there are 2-3 types of chamber involved. These two are same, wherein you are having concentrated NaCl ions, while these two are where you don't have those NaCl ions. So you can collect the water from these two compartments, which would be pure, and you can collect these two salts also. So let me explain you with one more let's say video. I found it on net, and I thought it is very easy for us to recognize using this video. Now if you can see and focus on cations and anions, what they are doing. They are allowed to pass from here but not from here. So at the end, these compartments, blue one would be like free from those ions, and this pink one will be having those cations and anions. Let me explain it one more time. Like cathode and anode you have joined, right? You allow your seawater to pass through it. Now you have cation selective, anion selective. Alternate fashion, you have used those ion selective membranes. Now what happens after some time? The cation is allowed to pass here, but is not allowed to pass here, so it will remain here, right? And the anions are allowed to pass through it, like cations will start moving towards cathode. So all cations will be able to pass through it, but not able to pass through it. All cation will be able to pass through this membrane, but not able to pass through it. So this way cations will be segregated. Now anions will start moving towards anode. So what happens is, anion of this compartment can go here, but it will not be allowed to pass, so it will remain here. Similarly, anions of this compartment can go here, but not be allowed from this compartment. So at the end, if you focus, you can focus on the dotted arrow and the line arrow. You can see this arrow, right? Here, what type of ions are present? These are the concentrated salt solution, because anions and cations will go to this compartment, While if you see to the dotted one, this one and this one and this one, it would be free from cations and anions, because either they are going to that side or they are going to that side. Ultimately, if you collect this particular water, it would be your pure water. So you can take your pure water from here and you can take your concentrated seawater outlet from here. So this is how electrodialysis process is custom made. It depends on the requirement. You can place number of membranes together, and then you can start the experimentation. So overall the unit is compact and it depends on your requirement. Overall the process is economical. Also there is not much of the expenses, but yeah, the membranes are quite costly, so you need to manage accordingly. The disadvantage which I found here is the process will not remove organic impurities or hardness. Yes, you heard me right. It is not meant to remove hardness, right? Because what happens is, if you use hardness here now, that particular particle will be clogging the pores of membrane. It will coat on the surface of membrane and the membrane will get fold. So folding of membrane takes place if higher molecular weight cations or anions are present. Right, it is only, I guess you remember that the membranes have a pore size and they allow only one that particular pore size particle to pass. So if calcium magnesium hardness is there, it will not be able to pass through it, rather it will get coated on the membrane, it will fold the membrane, and that affects the efficiency of particular process. So it's better you remove the hardness or other organic impurities before treating it for dissolved solid in electrodialysis. So that's a disadvantage. Now coming to the second one, was reverse osmosis. Again here the words made up of like two words, reverse and osmosis. Now as we have seen osmosis first, it was the process wherein water molecules are going to pass, right? So water molecules means solvent molecule is going to pass. So in electrodialysis we were taking solute particle out, but here we are going to take solvent particle out. So we are going to focus on the water molecule, we are going to take that molecule out. So movement of solvent particle from low concentration to high concentration of solute. So when solute concentration is high, that means this is like dilute solution to concentrated solution, you may call it like that. In dilute solution, water proportion would be high, so water has to pass from high concentration of water to low concentration of water till it becomes equal. And I guess you remember that there was an osmotic pressure, right? So if I want to reverse the direction of flow, that means I want to reverse this particular thing. I want to pass the water particle from concentrated side to dilute side, right? So I want to do it in a reverse direction. Obviously it's not that easy, so you need to supply that pressure which overcome that osmotic pressure. So that hydrostatic pressure is required in order to do that in a reverse direction. So this is also known as hyperfiltration and superfiltration. Let us go into what I was saying was this only, like this is osmosis, wherein the water molecule is going to pass from pure water to concentrated solution. I guess you remember, in pure water the concentration of water would be more and here the concentration of water would be less. So in order to compensate or equate, the flow would be from pure water to concentrated side. But now I want to reverse the direction of flow. So I need to apply the pressure, like which normally is in the range of 15 to 40 kg per centimeter square. So if I apply that much of the pressure, I can reverse the direction of flow. Now you imagine if it is a concentrated solution, that means your brackish water is there, right? And you want to remove those salts out of brackish water, or you want to actually purify the water. So what are you going to do? You are taking out those water molecules out of it. So at the end what happens is salts remain here only and the water is purified. So in reverse osmosis, it is just taking that solvent particle out of it, obviously using a semi-permeable membrane, and at the end you will be getting your purified water from here. So just to show you, like I have got this pic, there are 2-3 stages, right? So in the very first stage is pre-sedimentation filter, wherein the dust and dirt particle gets settled down. Then you may find carbon filter sometimes. This reduces that VOC, volatile organic compounds, and chlorides, fluorides and other compounds. And then the TDS is focused more on the third stage, which is RO membrane. So first two stages are normally pre-filtration, and then at the end you can get your clean faucet water. Nowadays, if you see some of the RO waters, they would be having UV container or a ozone container also, because obviously here the bacterial impurities are not removed. So if you have this kind of container, they targeted more on removing the bacterial impurities also. And then you may find that in some of the ROs there is one more container which is like minerals wala. So that means at the end when you're going to get your water, since it is free from each and every ion, so it is not fit for drinking because it lacks those nutrients which are generally required by our body. So what happens in the last container of that mineral, it add to the required amount of mineral to the water. So the water which you are getting out of RO, you can call it as a mineral water because that is purified, and at the same time it is having those minerals also involved in it. So that is how a RO process work. By applying the pressure from here, you can reverse the direction of water flow and you will get your pure water from here. So there are lot many advantages of RO, like over electrodialysis, because it works on all type of minerals is removed, whether it is ionic, non-ionic or whatever. The lifetime is quite high nowadays. We get good quality of ROs, and overall maintenance cost now also is reduced. Earlier it was very costly, but now there are like 2-3 generations of membrane. In semi-permeable membranes also, like polymer membranes have came, polymer composite membranes have came into picture. So that is how the maintenance cost is also now reduced. They can be replaced fast, and it is very simple and reliable method now. It obviously improves the taste and odor and appearance of water. It's very convenient and easy to clean it, and it flushes each and every particle present in the water. So there are a lot many advantages. But if you go to disadvantages, what I found basically is wastage of water, because yes, it do waste 70-80% of the water, and anyhow you can utilize that water later on in some other purposes, but then just because of lack of that pressure range, it results in wastage of water. Then demineralization, as I said, that there are trace minerals which are important for human health and which are also removed from the water. But this problem has now been solved because, as I said, that nowadays RO do contain that mineral container. And similarly, this disadvantage, which in earlier it was like bacteria gets through that RO process and it is still there in your water. But nowadays, as I said, UV and ozone containers are also there in RO. So if they are present, that means the bacteria will be killed. So I hope with that you are able to understand the two processes in detail, which was like electrodialysis and reverse osmosis. So in the next video I would be coming up with the fuels, major fuels, what are their classifications and calorific value and all. And then there is one more video which I am coming up with is a boiler trouble, because if you use hard water, what happens to the boiler, that also we need to know. So thank you everyone for liking the video, and do subscribe the channel and do mention in the comment whatever you feel like. Thank you so much.